Namaste, welcome to Arthneeti. Today I want to talk about the concept of inverse yield curve. Now, why is this important in today's times? Well, there have been talks for some time now that the world is going to face recession, with many banks in the western countries, in US, in Europe, almost facing bankruptcy, and job markets not doing well, inflation not getting under control. It is a fear that the world will face recession. Well, inverse yield curves is one of the indicators to predict recessionary trends. So in this video, here I will give you a small explanation about what inverse yield curve is. To start with, when government or any companies borrow money, they have to pay interest on the money that they have borrowed. Correct? This money that they borrow is used by the government, say for developmental activities like infrastructural development, building roads, ports, infrastructural facilities, healthcare facilities, so on and so forth. Correct? When companies take up loans, they normally do it for expansion, for research and development, etc. Correct? Now, when a loan is taken, interest is paid on that loan. Correct? No one is going to give loan for free. You go to a bank, you have to pay bank interest for the loan that you take from it. Correct? Likewise, when a government takes loans for its developmental activities, such loans are called as bonds, treasuries as they are termed in the US. Correct? Now, these treasuries attract interest. They have a fixed maturity, and an interest rate on them is fixed, which is paid throughout their life. Correct? Now, this interest that is paid on these bonds is called yield. Yield is the return on the investment. So today, if I am putting in some money in a government bond, I lend money to the government, for which the government pays me interest. Correct? So the interest that I earn is the yield that I get on my investment. It is the return that I get on my investment. Now, a normal yield curve plots the returns on various bonds over their life, over their maturities that the government pays. Normally, short term bonds ranging from 2 years to 5 years have a yield curve which is on the lower side than long term bonds, which may go make a FD, normally the rate of interest that the bank is willing to pay you for a FD which you keep for short term is lower as compared to the rate of interest that the bank offers you for a FD which you say keep for a period of more than 2 years, 3 years, so on. So the longer the period for which you keep your money in the bank, the higher normally is the rate of interest that the bank is willing to pay you. Correct? Now just replicate it with the government bonds. The longer the period of the bond, the higher the interest the government pays you. It shows your confidence in the government in paying back that money. Correct? This is what is a yield curve. Now, what is the inverse yield curve? Well, an inverse yield curve is a situation where the short term bonds fetch higher interest as compared to the long term bonds. Correct? So, a bond which is kept for, say, a period of 2 to 5 years will give you more returns as compared to a longer term bond which can extend up to 30 years period. What does this show? What does this indicate? This indicates that something is not right. You have confidence that in a short term your money will be safe with the government, but when it comes to a long term perspective, you are skeptical about the security of your money. That is why the demand for those bonds comes down, lowering their yields. Do you understand? Very, very simple. So, an inverse yield curve is where short term bonds uh, get higher yields as compared to long term bonds. Well, this is not the only indicator about the health of the economy, correct? You have to not look at it singularly, but along with other indicators, say like wage increases or layoffs that we are currently seeing in many multinational companies, especially big tech companies. Then you have to pay attention to inflation, you have to pay attention to income losses. Correct? All these factors taken together give you a view about the health of the economy in the long term. Correct? But inverse yield curve has a special consideration. Why? Let me tell you that. Well, the US has faced 7 major recessions since 1960, and inverse yield curve had preceded all these 7 instances. Amazing, isn't it? This term was coined by an economist at the Duke University in 1986. The name of the economist was Campbell Harvey. Well, many economists were focusing their attention on stock markets to see any correlation between the rise and fall of the indices with that of the recession. But no common thread was visible in 7 of these recessions that happened in the US economy since 1960. That's when economist Harvey looked at this seemingly stable index of bond market, and to his surprise a common pattern emerged. In all the 7 recessions since 1960, it was preceded by an inverse yield curve. So if not not completely 100% you can take it as an indicator, but it is an indicator which has had a great run in predicting all earlier recessions in the US market. Now, sitting in India, why is US recession important? See, this inverse yield curve was not only been observed in the US in the recent times, but 26 other countries in the world, including India, have seen this phenomena where short term bond yields are garnering better returns than long term bond yields. Developed countries like France, Germany, many European countries have all witnessed this phenomena of inverse yield curve. Correct? This only goes on to show the confidence that general public has in the state of the economy over a longer period of time. Correct? So that is why as an investor we should be aware about this concept of inverse yield curve, and since this is an ongoing concept, it can in a way help predict recession which we are bound to face in the future. Correct? So planning our investments accordingly, knowing these patterns and what will follow them, is a very important study that an investor can do to manage his or her finances well, so as to sail through the storm which these indices have predicted. Correct? So I hope you have understood this concept of inverse yield curve today, and any questions you have, always feel free to ask me by commenting below the video. My aim of doing these videos is to create more and more awareness amongst customers, so that amongst investors, I'm sorry, so that we jointly take more informed, right decisions about how we manage our finances. Correct? So I hope you have liked my video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more such informative videos. Thank you.